What are some 90s terms that are no longer used today? Totally tubular and radical. That's one that I'm kind of glad has died. It's gone. It's dead forever. Thank you. No doy. I had forgotten about this gem. I always loved that yelling doy meant the same thing as yelling no doy. It's one of the great mysteries of the universe. Information superhighway. The future is now. Soon every American home will integrate their television, phone, and computer. You'll be able to visit the Louvre on one channel or watch female wrestling on another. You can do your shopping at home or play Mortal Kombat with friends from Vietnam. There's no end to the possibilities. There were no utensils in medieval times. Hence, there are no utensils at medieval times. Would you like a refill on that, Pepsi? Beepus? Sorry, it's the stupidest word. I love it. Call me after 7 when it's free. All right, yo, man, you're wasting my minutes. I'll call you at night. Oh, man, you should have gotten the plan where incoming calls were free. That was like legal phone freaking to me back then. Here's a quarter. Call someone who cares. Explaining Travis Trite to the youngsters. Haha. I don't know who that is, and I don't know what this is referencing. Am I too young? Am I not old enough? I still say things are rad, but I haven't said radical or heard the term radical used in a that's cool context since like 95 or 96. I say radical. That's my thing, I say. Well, aren't you, Mr. Cool Guy? Correction. The only thing that's over is that transmission. I'm so lost on if these are references or just things people say because I've never heard of half of them. Hey, howdy, hey, everybody. My name's Brandon, Brandy, whatever you want to call me, and today we are back with Ask EmKay. We've got some good questions sitting here, so let's stop wasting time and jump on in. What is so ancient only internet veterans can remember? Signing up for a new email address and the username not already being taken. Glorious times. I took like every free email with my first name and my first name and surname combination, which was a mastermind move when I was 12. Sucks to be whoever has the same name as me though, when we used to risk getting viruses just to get cool cursors. Or smileys for your instant messenger like AIM, MSN, or Yahoo Messenger. If going on a long car journey, having to print off directions from MapQuest. And the first 3 pages were how to get out of your driveway. Counters on web pages. When doing research online, wow, this site had 300,000 people visit? The information must be legit. I was taught in school that you could check the credibility of a website based on the counter. Encarta. Anyone else remember that trivia game built into Encarta where you had to answer trivia questions to get through the castle where everyone was basically frozen creepily into place and couldn't be freed unless you made it to the end? I gotta say, I know all of these previous ones, never heard of this one. What video game to movie adaptation could break box office records with the right director / actors / writers and a blank check budget? Hotline Miami. But I don't know who would be a good director. I just think it would be a cinematic mindfuck. I'm thinking Nicholas Winding Refn, guy who directed Drive. That would be an amazing choice. I love the movie Drive, and Hotline Miami, it kind of feels like Drive already, so. GTA, but Quentin Tarantino. This is the most interesting answer I've seen yet. I feel his disjointed way of storytelling would translate well to a GTA narrative on a big screen. Vice City on big screen would be awesome. Control as a drama sci-fi. This would make a dope AF TV show. It already felt like a TV series for me when I played it. I don't know why. I think there is heavy potential for a Control movie because it's essentially Men in Black mixed with SCPs. It's so interesting. So much to work with. Twisted Metal. Death Race was kind of like Twisted Metal, but missed Sweet Tooth. They're making a TV series instead. Better choice, honestly. There are too many characters with unique backgrounds to stack them all in 2 hours. Silent Hill, directed by Guillermo del Toro. There's a lot of creepiness and creepy kid stuff for del Toro to work his magic. Yes, damn it! What is your plan if nuclear war starts? I'd probably just do the tried and true duck and cover because it wouldn't work and I would get blown away instantly. The f*** I'm supposed to do? I'ma die. Most realistic comment. Yeah, like, what can you do in this scenario? I'm afraid I'll have to intervene. Couldn't you have intervened sooner? Ed physics homework. I'm ready now. Step 1, hope I don't die. Step 2, die. Step 3, hey, you're finally awake. It just opens to Skyrim. If 2020 taught us anything, it is to drive to Costco and buy a truckload of toilet paper while the nuclear siren blares out. Don't forget to buy up all the milk and bread, too. Stocking up on the most perishable food is what f***ing idiots in Georgia think is the right move in times of crisis. Don't forget to grab as much hand sanitizer as possible. When the ghouls rise up from the ashes, we need to clean them. Overcome my fear of karaoke. I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to start a flame in your heart. No, please. No clapping, no applause. That was, okay, you can clap if you want. What is something common that has never happened to you? I've never been mugged. I'm from Medellin. I went to Medellin for 3 days, got mugged on my second day. Biggest flex in this sub. I completely missed the entire lockdown. 2020 was a normal year for me. I never stopped working at my job in a warehouse and I lived alone. I only have to go out to the store anyways, so I feel like I almost missed out on something. Honestly, same. I'm incredibly introverted yet work an absolutely essential job. There was never a worry of losing my job and I never went out enough for it to matter that I couldn't anymore. I feel the same way. Never had a really solid group of friends. Edit. Thank you for the rewards and my highest upvoted comment ever. I guess a lot of Redditors can relate to my loneliness. I don't know if I'm supposed to read that or not, so I'll just leave that as a blank. Same. I was always the traveling friend. Found groups of friends that knew each other forever and got along with them, but was never really included. I have never won anything, like a contest, raffles, drawings, races, etc. You'd think by now something would have happened. You win the My Favorite Comment Award. Congratulations! In my country, being robbed. It's really sad to realize that this is the first answer that came to my mind when I read the question. I live in Brazil, by the way. All my family members are from Brazil, and every single one has been robbed at some point, some more than once. Which movies do you think are straight up propaganda? I feel like The Internship was a way for Google to advertise their workspace and job environment. Recently left Google and working there was nothing like the movie. It definitely was quirky, but as the original leadership retired and new execs were brought in, it definitely became just another corporation. I'd still probably go back if the right opportunity came around with the right pay. Oh man, there was a documentary a while back called What the Bleep Do We Know? That advertised itself as a science documentary exploring the weirdness of quantum physics. It sounded cool and I actually went and saw it in the theater. Turns out it was a flat out scam promoting the idea of a new age cult called the Ramtha School of Enlightenment. A handful of physicists were duped into appearing and heavily edited to appear as though they agreed with the cult's message. I've never felt so cheated leaving a theater. The director of that film went on to be a central figure in the NXIVM cult, the one where Allison Mack was branding people. This film came to mind for me on this question too. Rocky IV. Loved the movie wholeheartedly, but Rocky winning the Cold War was a bit blatant. I love this film so much. It's so unsubtle. If memory serves, the Russian crowd clap in unison and are all wearing practically identical uniforms, and Rocky trains with hunks of meat and chains, whilst the Russians train with bleepy bloopy machines and scientists. That movie Battleship was basically one long advert for the Navy. I thought it was one long advert for the board game Battleship, and it wasn't even accurate to the game. Most musical biopics seem like an attempt to rewrite history just the way the movie makers want it to be remembered. Very strange, which is why Walk Hard remains legendary. Doctor, we need more blankets! More blankets and less blankets! When was a I'll do it myself moment for you? 8 years old, was begging my parents to teach me to ride a bike for well over a year, maybe even 2. I felt like the last of my friends to learn and it was embarrassing. I finally went into my dad's toolbox that probably weighed as much as I did and tried about a dozen tools until I managed to figure out how to take off my little pink training wheels. I spent the next couple weeks non-stop teaching myself how to ride a bike with zero help. Absolutely effed myself up numerous times. No one noticed or cared, except my friends who were stoked when I finally rolled up on 2 wheels. I'm 30 now and I weirdly find this to be a pivotal moment of my life. It seems insignificant, but to feel the power of self-sufficiency at 8 was pretty dope and I really built my confidence. I bought a house recently and the previous owners didn't leave the mailbox key. I had a million other things to do, so I figured I'd call a locksmith and let them deal with it. After getting jerked around by 3 different guys who refused to even give me a ballpark on cost, I said f it and drilled into the lock myself and replaced it. Got the job done for $30. New lock, a wrench I had to buy, instead of probably $200. This inspired me to replace mine myself after not being given any keys when I moved in. Thank you. The very first day home after my second open heart surgery, I was 6 years old, sitting on the kitchen floor playing with my Hot Wheels, and I realized I had to use the bathroom. After being in the hospital for weeks, I was taught I had to be very careful. I was dosed with morphine and couldn't feel that my sternum, which had been sawed in half, was still healing. I called my mom to come pick me up and help me to the bathroom. No answer. I called again. Nothing. Well, I'm obviously not peeing my pants. I'm a big girl, damn it. So I very carefully pushed myself to my feet and walked unaided for the first time since my surgery. Freaked my mom out, and she was super apologetic that she couldn't hear me calling. These are some crazy stories, my god. Part-timer mopped the freezer with water. I used to ask the new guy to do this when I was working in fast food years ago. Normally they'd come out after a minute like, haha, you got me. Enter Clint. Told him the usual spiel. Get super hot water in the bucket and go fast. He comes out 5 minutes later and says it wasn't working very well with just the mop, so I dumped the bucket out and was gonna mop it up, but it all froze. I told him to watch the line, and I chipped ice for like half an hour that day to get it all cleaned up since I instigated that event. At least he knew he was in the wrong somewhat, so at least he knew he had to clean it. Senior year of college, I was apparently the only one capable of actually doing anything hardware related for our senior design project. Told one of the group to do a basic thing, and he called me saying the whole system was broken. After that, I said f it, took everything home and did all the build work while the others mainly did the write-ups. In our senior design project, I had such an underperformed group that I told the professor, who was department chair, that I could have done better alone. He asked if I would care to prove it and gave me a month to come back with the design docs improved and a working model. While it wasn't as clean as I would have liked, he gave me a full letter grade increase and offered more time to get higher. I took the grade. Classes had been over and I'd already walked graduation. What's your favorite song that's not in English? Probably the Numa Numa song. Still don't know what language that's supposed to be. Life on Mars, covered by Sue George. Absolutely beautiful song. This album was such a trap. I'd put it on at the restaurant I worked at and forget that in the middle of all these beautiful Bowie covers, there's one song that's just screaming. Oopsies, customers. Whoops. Oh no. Wolf Totem by The Who. That throat singing is fire. Juve Juve You is a freaking banger. They have a tour soon and I'm seriously considering going. Again, from Yui. Oh, such a good song. If you've ever seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, you know that song. That is, quintessential anime opening. In Vu by Taeyeon. And generally everything K-pop oriented. I am not a K-pop stan, don't come for me, but I do find some merit in some songs. Blackpink? Yeah, that's a band. I don't know. Der Kommissar by Falco. Alles klar? Er Kommissar. Dra dined. Is that what they're singing? I've never seen it written before, and I've never spoken that before, so don't come for me in the comments. I don't know how to pronounce things. Every country has a national hero, but who is your national villain? Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka. Don't come for me, I can't read. Was looking for a Canadian answer, curious to see if there would be a consensus. Those are good choices. Robert Picton probably deserves to be in the conversation. I am not a smart man, so I don't know any of these people. Vidkun Quisling. I guess it's reading time for me. Yeah, me too, Dark Tackling. I can't read. Former prime minister who collaborated with the Nazis in World War II. Other countries use him as the eponym or traitor. We in the good old USA use Benedict Arnold for that. As a German, I think I don't even need to spell out the answer. Lafts in Austrian. It is kind of ironic that two of the biggest political figures of the 20th century weren't even from the country they are commonly associated with. Leopold II, King of the Belgians. The guy who really wanted Congo? More like brutally exploited. Lots of death and hand chopping offs. As an Italian, I would like to say Mussolini, but I don't think we're there yet. My grandparents' childhood village in the south still has propaganda paintings on the wall from the war. The younger people want them gone, thank God, but still. For Croatia, that would be Ante Pavelić, the leader of the Axis puppet state called the Independent State of Croatia, which committed genocide against Serbs, Jews, and Roma. I've heard about this guy. Wasn't he so murderous that even the Nazis told him to dial it back a little? Edit. Holy crap. crap, this has become my most liked comment. You're talking about the big H-man, so don't be too proud. Who was someone done dirty by the media? Christopher Jeffries, who had the bad luck to be a bit strange looking and eccentric and be close neighbors of a murdered woman. Originally questioned over the murder and released, he was hounded by Britain's tabloid papers right up to the point where it was proved that someone else was the murderer. The Lost Honor of Christopher Jeffries is such a good miniseries. I'll have to check that out because I know nothing about many of these people. A dingo really did eat that baby. Poor Lindy, she was crucified and even now is mocked and used in pop culture. She genuinely lost her baby and then everyone dismissed her trauma. Lindy Chamberlain was charged with the baby's murder and jailed for several years. It wasn't until someone found the baby's bloodied jacket beside a dingo den that she was released. The trauma of that is unimaginable. You lose your baby and get thrown in jail for her murder. Yikes, I didn't know it went that deep. That's, yikes, rough. Richard Jewell, the not Atlanta bomber. He was a hero that likely saved dozens of lives. Instead of praising for the hero he was, the FBI and the media rushed to judgment and labeled him a terrorist. The media also did everything to slander him for living with his mom and brought out all the embarrassing things they could find. God, media is so disgusting with how shark-like they are to just jump in and ruin someone's lives. Brendan Fraser was shamed and blacklisted for admitting to being sexually assaulted in the industry. Wow. The Mummy isn't the same without him. I didn't know he was accused of that. That's why he's been gone? Oh no, that's such a bummer. God, Brendan Fraser, we love you. We love you. Britney Spears, they loved her mental breakdown. Craig Ferguson was the only late night guy to not make jokes about her. He also avoided jokes about Courtney Love going to rehab. We love you, Britney, and we're so happy for you now that your conservatorship is over. And would you look at the time, we've come to the end of this video. Bye-bye now.